Hello, welcome back to my channel and to another reaction video. This time I'll be checking the epilogue for the Greater Terran Union.
On April 22, 2089, military space surveillance satellites from 9 separate nations began tracking a group of objects that had entered the periphery of the solar system. The arrival of the Terran and the war that followed left humanity on the brink of extinction. In desperation, the world united under a regime like none other in history. The government that would become the Greater Terran Union was not founded on any idealistic principles or for the benefit of the few at the cost of the many, but on the overriding necessity that drastic measures be taken to ensure the survival of mankind itself. The steps taken were severe and at times cruel, but 3 centuries later, when the homeworld of the Terran race was cracked apart beneath the most terrible weapon of humanity, none could deny
epic.
that the Greater Terran Union had fulfilled its oldest promise. Few alien nations truly understood what drove the Union in its relentless pursuit of vengeance, why it had embraced such unrepentant nationalism, such an overpowering military-industrial complex, and at times, an almost tyrannical government. The Greater Terran Union found scarcely any allies as it spread across the stars, only new enemies and later subjects. When the Sword of Terra was unleashed, the galaxy responded with horror, and protests erupted across every world. But when the survival of all life was in jeopardy, it was the fleets of the Union that pressed onwards where no others would. It was through the might of Terran warships, through the courage of Terran soldiers, and the complete commitment of the Terran citizenry that the interdimensional rift was closed and the galaxy saved. Again, the great cities of alien nations were filled with demonstrations. This time, however, protesters extolled the virtues of Terran exceptionalism, lamenting the cowardice and failure of their own governments. There were some who believed that the defeat of the interdimensional invaders would usher in a new era of peace and prosperity across the galaxy, one built on mutual trust and charity. The reality was very different. The power vacuum left behind by the Jazgavaz, the Zani, and later the invaders only laid the seeds for future rivalries and conflicts.
Of course.
Foreign powers moved to spread their influence across the devastated regions of the galaxy.
I mean, it makes
sense. The Greater
sense.
Terran Union was hardly above such political maneuvering, and no less opportunistic. Yet in victory, the Union had earned admiration and respect. For the first time, former rivals looked to it for leadership, guidance, and protection. On worlds rocked by instability, corrupt regimes, or conflict, Terran ideals became as valuable as Terran weapons. Political movements rose across the galaxy, and through civil war or revolution, founded new nations inspired by humanity. Some became valuable partners, others loyal vassals, and some were annexed directly as new commissariats at their request. In a piece of historical irony, the disparate survivors of the Florian matriarchy were the first among the latter. As citizens of the Greater Terran Union, they were given the chance to begin anew. In time, through the vast efforts of the entire Union, life on their former homeworld was restored, and Garden was named the capital world of the Florian Commissariat. It was the first of many such declarations. On July 11, 2756, Union citizens from dozens of species assembled aboard Triumph Station, in orbit over what had once been the heart of the Terran. For centuries, this station and its predecessors had been at the center of a solemn pilgrimage, a place where Terran citizens would congregate to pay their respects to the past and to the fallen. But on the 600th anniversary of the Greater Terran Union, it bore witness to something new. Trigen, daughter of Enim, the first Wasari High Marshal, proclaimed that while the values of the nation she served were rooted in humanity, they were not humanities alone. To be Terran was not the privilege of a single species, something granted simply by birthright. It had to be earned through sacrifice, through loyal service, through the steadfast belief that every citizen had the duty to contribute to the good of the Union and lay down their lives in its defense. To deny any that chance was to betray the tenets the nation had been founded on. A Wasari serving aboard a cruiser of Fleet Command, a Polenian working to root out corruption in the bureaucracy, a Rixian who donated a portion of his stipend to the National Reserve, these citizens and countless others were no less worthy of citizenship, and no less worthy of the title Terran. It would take another century and countless wars, interventions, and police actions before the authority of the Greater Terran Union stretched across the entire galaxy. But with each victory came new peoples and new ideas. Today, on the streets of any Terran world, hundreds of species walk as equals, and all can boast with well-earned pride of the first within their race to earn the highest tiers of citizenship. They stand side by side in the museums of Earth itself and gaze at depictions of the war against the Tyrran, the battles against the Compact, the discovery of the L Cluster, the defeat of the Great Scavenger, the Florian invasion, the Nex Uprising. They watch historical footage from the War in Heaven and the final attack on the interdimensional rift, and are shaken by the thought that the survival of the Union was ever uncertain. Each night, they stand in the plazas and parade grounds, holding aloft the ceremonial torches of new recruits, who take their oaths of citizenship beneath the statues of the Union's greatest heroes, ready to lead the next great age. Advanced technologies have pushed the boundaries of Terran expansion, and the devastation wrought across the galaxy has left an insatiable need for raw materials and resources. Already, the first probes have arrived in neighboring galaxies, and construction has begun on a wave of starships that will depart for these distant stars. Generations of sacrifice and hardship will soon be rewarded, for as the Greater Terran Union prepares to embark on the next great journey in its history, it marches towards this uncertain future, united in purpose and determined to never be caught unprepared again. Every wonder encountered shall be utilized, every terror overcome. And should any force in the universe ever again bring death and destruction to a world claimed by the citizens of the Greater Terran Union, each injustice will be repaid 100 and then 1,000 times over. Every galaxy
but there's gonna be a bunch of
came to the wrong neighborhood,
species that's gonna challenge the Union. But oh, that was the epilogue, and yeah, that was a nice little recap at the beginning. A bunch of stuff that I honestly had forgotten. I have a shit memory, I've said it before. But yeah. So, in the aftermath of the Great War, now everyone is looking up to Terran ideals, and that was an interesting part where they said that, okay, Terran citizenship isn't for just any one species to be claimed by birthright. It has to be earned through sacrifice and whatnot, which, yeah, that was a cool thing, and now all the old rivals are uniting and becoming the galaxy is now becoming more united, but they did mention that now that the Jask was the sane and they have been defeated, now there's a power vacuum, and yeah, it makes sense that some would try to claim their own territories, and they did mention that a century or so will go where the Union will have to fight wars and be a kind of a galactic police force to salvage the galaxy's issues. So, but yeah, I mean, the Union did learn from its own history that not to get caught unaware. They are advancing, developing, evolving at a rapid pace, and yeah, now they're leaving the galaxy, and you can bet that there's gonna be some powers there that see the Union as a threat. And this has been a fantastic series, really interesting learning about this, what the greater Terran Union. I mean, the Templars Institute really has great videos. They really explain. They're very thorough in their explanations, which is easy to follow, easy to understand, and just a delight to listen. There are always some epic music on the background, which really, at times, if the at times the music can be a little too intense, and instead of listening to them explaining something, I'm just listening to the music and then be all dumbfounded, like, what the hell did they just say? But yeah, and they have great narrators as well. And the artwork they use on these videos is always beautiful. So, but yeah, that was it for the Greater Terran Union. What do you guys think? Write your thoughts down below. Hope you enjoyed my reaction. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want, and I will see you in another video. Bye.